A lot of creative people had mindless jobs. Michelangelo worked in a marble quarry. Herman Melville was a customs agent. Albert Einstein worked for the patent office.
And what is it you want to patent, Herr Smith?
I call it Smith's theory of relativity.
Hey, look at this.
What?
In 1895, Einstein, he failed a simple entrance exam to an engineering school in Zurich. Okay, he was a dropout. He was a dropout student. He was cruel to his first wife. He beat her. He cheated on her. Then he married his cousin, who he cheated on constantly. He estranged from his sons. He left them with no money, although he had it. He was a Marxist who hated McCarthy for hunting commies. In fact, he was mentioned by Stalin's Soviets as a close friend. This TV show says, oh, he was just an internationalist. No, he was a commie. He says he was a pacifist, but he wanted war with Germany. He actually wanted to genocide Germans. There was a quote where he said, the Germans can be killed or constrained after the war, but they cannot be re-educated to a democratic way of thinking and acting. It is hoped that by war's end, they will largely have been killed off. Albert Einstein said this. At Lincoln University, California, Einstein gave a speech in which he called racism a disease of white people and added, I do not intend to be quiet about it. But he was vehemently anti-nationalist and anti-white, but very, very pro-Jewish. In fact, he was offered a presidency of Israel. He politely declined the offer by saying, I'm deeply moved by the offer from our state of Israel and at once saddened and ashamed that I cannot accept. He was a hardcore Zionist but opposed nationalism at every turn for Europeans. In fact, he wanted to crush it. So what did he give us anyway? Everything is relative, moral relativism, nothing is certain, no such thing as an absolute, anything goes, what is truth anyway, there's no meaning except relativism, of course, right? So only his view of the universe is the right one that we're all choking to death on, right? Many physicists disagree with his theories because that's all they are, is theories. Well, how has he even gotten this big in the first place? Well, it's a fact that his work was not only twisted, unscientific ideas, but that it was science that was plagiarized. I know Red Ice did a show on this, a great show on this, covering this in detail. His writings included his popular 1924 book, Meaning of Relativity, which was plagiarized from the Lorentz transformation, plagiarism of the mass energy equivalence, largely based on the work of George Fitzgerald and Hendrik Lorentz, Irish and Dutch theoretical physicists, and also the work of French physicist Henri, help me with this, Poincaré.
Henri Poincaré.
There you go. He developed
Henri Poincaré.
There you go. He developed a theory of relativity years before Einstein. And it gets worse. Plagiarism of Paul Gerber's groundbreaking work on the speed of gravity. Okay, this was a German guy. And the idea that the speed of light was a constant and was independent of the motion of its source was not Einstein's at all, but was proposed by the Scottish scientist James Maxwell in 1878. Also, Bernhard Riemann, a German, was the first to develop a sound non-Euclidean geometry, which is the basis of all the math he used to describe relativity. Also, it goes on, Heinrich Hertz, the father of the unit of frequency Hertz, right, sound vibration, discovered that electrodes illuminated with ultraviolet light and they create electric sparks more easily. Well, in 1905, Einstein published a paper explaining the same experiment from Hertz's photoelectric effect, and it was actually Hertz's discovery that led to the quantum revolution, yet Einstein was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1921 for the discovery of the law of the photoelectric effect. Okay? It goes on. Nikola Tesla, he could not stand Einstein. In fact, he called him an old crank. He gave a scathing analysis of Einstein's relativity theory, calling it a magnificent mathematical garb, which fascinates, dazzles, and makes people blind to the underlying errors. The theory is like a beggar clothed in purple whom ignorant people take for a king. He said this in 1935. John Murray Cudahy, a brilliant known sociologist, said Einstein was motivated by a desire to distort and destroy Western science. Very, very accurate. Dayton Clarence Miller, president of Britain's Royal Astronomical Society, disagreed with all Einstein's theory. He had his own absolute space theory, which is interesting. And it goes on. 100 prestigious Austrian and German scientists denounced him in this book, I don't know how to say it, Otteringen, I'll pull it up right here, accused him of being a pseudo-mysticism and pseudo-mystic and just speculating everything, basically. 100 scientists. H.L. Mencken, there's sound reason for believing that Einstein will not hold up in the long run. His curved space may be classed with psychosemantic bumps of Gall and Spurzheim, two other brilliant scientists. So the point is, we wouldn't be in the Stone Age without him, hardly. We'd be cultivating other planets by now, right? And then people who say, oh, you're just jealous of him, or, oh, it's because he's Jewish. No, it's because he was a thief, a liar, and a plagiarist, and an awful person in his private life, and, true brilliant people couldn't stand him, and they viewed him as a crackpot, and a liar, and a plagiarist because he was. And Einstein criticized scientists he felt threatened by true geniuses like Erwin Schrödinger, quantum theory, Werner Heisenberg, Hilbert, Planck. He was actually the jealous one who was attacking all these, but he was propped up as the archetype of brilliance, genius in science, the smartest man alive, and he was a Jew, right? So he's just a pure creation, basically, of Jewish media hype that was manufactured in the 20s, basically like a pop star. But he was a commie who failed his college entrance exam and shamelessly ripped off true geniuses. So he's all smoke and mirrors. He's a fraud, people. And I don't know if you guys have heard this before, but it's massive. Germany, Henrik, as you said, was thriving. I mean, just amazing minds were coming out of Germany in this time. It's not like Einstein took Germany out of some kind of Stone Age and they were, they were not going to advance without his brilliance, right?